I'm sick of all this aura talk, guys. I'm really sick of it. It's all aura this, aura that. And the reason I'm sick of all this aura talk is, one, because I don't have any, and I'm still feeling left out, as I was from the beginning of this whole thing. But two, because aura is usually people not trying, people being nonchalant, people being cool. And I don't like that stuff. You guys know I'm very much against nonchalance. I'm very much against, being chill and all that. I think what we all could use a whole lot more of these days is childlike wonder. And I've been thinking this for a long time. I've been thinking about how childlike wonder is gone from everybody I know. The other day, I was talking to a friend. We were looking up. The stars were out. It was actually insane. I love the stars. I love space. Space is a huge thing for me. I'm like, space is so cool because anything could be out there. That's what I said to him. I was like, there could be a planet full of cowboys still or something. Like, isn't that insane? That could totally happen. And he was like, well, the probability, blah, 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 because he's smarter than me. He's a scientist or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to have a conversation with this guy about the beauty, the childlike wonder of space, and he just told me statistics about how life forms develop. Where'd that get us? Bad conversation. That's where. And that's why I'm saying we need more childlike wonder. But I genuinely do think that even past just making your conversations and your days more fun, which it totally can do. That's what childlike wonder is the best at. It makes everything way better. But beyond that, I do think it's actually, unironically, an important thing to have childlike wonder. And I'm going to quote Picasso here, right? Picasso has that one quote. I'm sure you've all heard it. It's one of his more famous. That guy didn't say much. Usually when you're a famous artist, you got like a couple of famous quotes that are out there. Picasso did not say quite as much as a lot of other famous artists. But that aside, maybe he did. That's so annoying. I'm going to get a million people in the comments now being like, Picasso has a million great quotes, and I just haven't heard them. That's the thing about coming at Picasso. People know their Picasso stuff way better than me. But he has that one quote where he goes, everybody is born an artist. It's just about staying an artist. Or like every child's an artist. It's just about keeping that inner child as an artist. And this is true. This is 100% true. It's rare to find a kid without an art, right? And even I'm going to expand it here to sports. Kids, when you're a kid, you always have or not me, but normal kids who are actually athletic and socially competent, they have like a sport they play, and it's like, this is my thing. And I do consider that to be sort of an art, a dream, an aspiration that just comes naturally as a human when you're a kid and you're unjaded by the world. And he makes a great point. It's all about staying as that kid, And I think what's really interesting here is actually, I saw this online a little while ago where it was like drawing my son's characters that he came up with. Like his son would doodle a superhero or something, and then the dad, who was like an illustrator, would draw it perfectly. And these were some of the coolest characters I've seen. Like flat out, like I would watch a movie about these guys and I just saw them, right? And it got me thinking about that, of like, when I was a kid and I didn't know anything, and I was just like literally drawing 24/7, because that was what was fun for me. I had at least 2 sketchbooks full of superheroes. 100%. And I've lost those sketchbooks now, but, moving and all those things. But what I think about sometimes is like, what if you could have the mind of a kid with the skill of an adult? Like, what if I was able to, because, I do consider myself to be somebody who creates relatively freely. Like, I wouldn't say some people I'm fortunate, you know what I mean? I'm fortunate in that sense. Some people, when they create things, when they make things, they definitely have a harder time kind of getting into a state of like, I can just spit out something fun right now. I do consider myself to be somebody pretty good at that. But there's only so free I can get being a jaded adult, you know what I mean? And I consider myself to be a relatively unjaded adult, but I'm still a jaded adult. You gotta be a jaded adult by the time you're an adult, right? The world's definitely got you by then. So sometimes I think like, what if I had the skills that I do now, and I could sketch with the mind of my younger self? How great would those drawings be? Maybe they wouldn't be that great. Maybe this is just me coping that my drawings aren't good sometimes, being like, if only I had my younger mind. But I genuinely do think that like that freedom in the wonder that I have, back to the childlike wonder here, the freedom that comes with that amount of wonder, I genuinely think would, I really think it would lead to some amazing things, right? And that's where, you know, so much of taking the conversation away from me, centering it off of me for a second, so much of people's common fears as an artist can so easily be eliminated by childlike wonder. I'm reading right now The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's a very famous book. I read it because, or I started reading it rather, I'm not done with it yet. I started reading it because Olivia Rodrigo and Doechii, the two artists I like a lot, have read it and they recommended it. And I was like, well, sometimes it's like, you see one of these books in the aisle and it's like what real artist is reading a book, a self-help book about art? Like I do feel that way about some of these books sometimes, but this one I was like, all right, these are some real, like, you know, these are some great artists. I really like these. Maybe this book actually has something to say. So I started reading it. It is a good book. I mean, I'd recommend it to anybody, just because I don't think it could hurt to read. I think it's a solid book. I do find myself not relating to some of the fears in there because, like, there's a whole section on the fears the artist has and how to conquer them. And I do find myself not relating to them a little bit, if I'm being honest with you guys. This isn't me, I hope it doesn't come off this way. This isn't me trying to, like, be like, I am the exception to any of this. Not by any means. I'm just being honest. Like, I find myself not relating to some of this stuff. But if, like, looking at all of them, I feel like the solution is just to have that freedom, to be your younger self again, to have that childlike wonder, you know? Because like, especially now that everything is so, we're in, like, art has always been, I don't like the idea that, like, back in the day, people were making art and they were selling art and it was like there were these artist communities and everyone was the most free artist ever, and now we're all at the crushing fist of social media. No, art's always been predicated and, you know, decided upon by markets and all these things. But there's a truth that, like, we are in the most commercialized time for art ever because we're all forced to commercialize ourselves now in one way or another, right? Sometimes in small ways like this, where I'm just painting and doing whatever I want to do. And then in other large ways where people literally have to paint and draw and make stickers, the exact same kind of drawing, for years on end and upload TikToks in hope they can make a living off that, right? It's genuinely a hugely commercial time. And I think, like, so much of the downside of that, and when you don't come at it with the perspective that is a little bit more free, and I feel like I'm overusing the term childlike wonder now, but that has that childlike wonder, when you don't come at it with that perspective, you know, if I was painting today, and let's say I didn't do this, let's say I sold these, or I did speed painting and I tried to sell stickers of it, something like that, that's maybe a little bit more traditionally social media, and would probably make me a lot more money than this. Let's say I did that, my thoughts would have to be around, like, oh, this is a little ugly. Do people even want this? Like, this is a little, like, what does this even mean? Will this resonate with anyone? Will anyone care to even buy this? Like, oh man, I should do this stroke in a more satisfying way for the speed painting. And that's not a good way to create, obviously. I mean, listen, I think that you can still, I'm sitting on the fence this whole paint talk for no reason, but I think that, like, I don't think that, some people say that, like, oh, any commercialization of art ruins it right away. I don't agree with that because, like, people make cool commercial art. They totally do. I think that I could do that and this painting would still come out relatively similar and still pretty cool. I think this painting's coming out pretty cool right now. I think it could still come out pretty cool. But it wouldn't come out the same, and I don't think it'd come out as good. I really don't, because I think that it's important to have a little bit more of a free-flowing state. Just as, I mean, there's totally an argument made that if all these cameras were off, this painting would come out best of all, you know? Maybe totally free, silent. Even though I don't work in silence ever, I can't do it, actually. Not a chance. Literally, never will I work in silence. Just not in my repertoire. But, taking away all these things about the commercialization and what will people say about this and will this sell, and, you know, this is about to go to an audience that could be 3 people or 1 million. That's a damaging thing to have when you're drawing or when you're painting. The only thing that can adequately take that away is having a sense of naivety, is having a sense of this childlike wonder. Because when you have all these things around you, you can ignore them, but you can't deny that they're very true. right? Like I can ignore, I can be like, I've had multiple people say to me in my personal life, some of whom are artists, they've said like, you know, you'll never come up with anything good when you're painting and talking on camera because like there's too much terrible environment to learn to paint, which is true to an extent, you know. I ignore that and I paint every day anyways and I have a great time doing it and I think the paintings are fun sometimes, you know, but I can't ignore that truth that's sitting inside of them, right? Not sitting inside of them, sitting inside of their statement. Like that, the statement is true, whether I like it or not, that maybe there's a total argument that things would be better if I wasn't painting and talking every single day, if I was just painting on my own, right? Total argument there. But I need to ignore that. But you can't ignore it because it's true. When things are really true and they're sitting behind you all the time, it's really hard to ignore those things. So how do you do it? You bring in that sense of naivete, in my opinion. You have that childlike wonder. I think that's really an essential thing to being a great artist. I also think it's an essential thing to living life. I'm on the record that I think life is art. If you go back to any of my content, early or recent, I've said this the whole time. I really do believe that. I think your life is art, right? I think conversations are poems. I think the route you take to work as a sculptor, all that. Having childlike wonder, if it's able to unlock all these great things, like Picasso says, and remaining an artist, why can't it unlock these great things too in your day-to-day life? Don't go to work like a child. They can't drive, but you know, maybe approach things with a mind of your younger self now and again. You know, if nothing else, it'll add a little bit more joy into the process because everything was new to your younger self. This is the painting. Honestly, guys, this is one of those days where I had the painting done, but I had more to say, so I started adding things, and I wanted eyes somewhere in here, so I added 2 eyes, and I think the eyes really make this terrible. I think it's cool otherwise. Like, I actually really do like this painting otherwise. I think this guy is cool. I think the texture down here is cool. Don't know why I do know why I added these. I want to keep talking, but that goes back to the whole conversation about, you know, some of these paintings just won't turn out good because of this. I wish I messed up the eyes, that's why I covered them, though, so I wish that, I wish there was just normal eyes in this. I think it'd be a way better painting. But either way, go follow over the Instagram. This will be up in the coming days. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk episode 166. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.